one of our core values that we talk about all the time, we just say RFD, stands for Run From Drama, because as a group, as a team, as a program, if we run from drama ourselves, you automatically have a built-in advantage.
Welcome back to Torch Talk, the show where we spotlight bold leaders growing business and communities with grit and purpose. Today, we're joined by Rick Geiser. Rick is a math teacher, co-athletic director, and the head coach of the girls basketball team at Waynedale High School. Rick wears many hats, but at the core of each role is one constant: leadership. Whether he's teaching in the classroom, guiding student athletes on the court, or building programs that strengthen the school community, Rick leads with consistency, care, and integrity. This episode is about what leadership looks like when it's not just a title, but a daily commitment to influence, inspire, and invest in others. So welcome to Torch Talk, Rick.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're going to talk about a lot of different things today, especially you said whenever I was draft reading that's a lot to live up to, but I said you're already living up to it. So you've definitely directly influenced a number of members on my team and our children within the team because you have taught them. So you have had an impact, and that's coming through in this script even. So
well, it's an everyday thing.
Every day.
Try and be the best we can be.
The first question I really have for you is, are you exhausted? Because, man, you got a lot going on.
Well, each day has its own challenges, but, you just keep plugging away. I'm getting to the school a little bit earlier.
Yes.
And I'm staying a little bit later, but I'm doing what I love to do, so that makes it all okay.
Yes. So you have taken on a new role of part-time athletic director this year. That's new for you, right? So that's why it looks a little bit different, a little less teaching, a little bit more directing.
Yes, so our athletic director from last year had a great opportunity to move on to a different job. And so that was a little bit later in the summer. Mm-hmm. And so Mr. Reby and I decided that we would take on this job and split it. It was a little too late to get a replacement for me in the classroom. So I'm doing a little bit in the classroom in the morning, and then I transition down to the athletic director office in the afternoon, and then do whatever that takes for the day. Mm-hmm. And trying to keep organized with the girls basketball program as well.
Yes. Leadership means a lot to you personally. I've seen it. I have a daughter in the youth program. So you really start from a young age working with coaches, building up that program. What does leadership mean to you, and how do you see that playing out in the basketball program?
Well, I think leadership is you're always growing. Mm-hmm. And, this is year 31 as a teacher for me.
I was going to ask, my goodness.
And
we're too young for you to be teaching 31. I feel like we're the same age, but
I mean, it's been a lot of growth over the years. It's been a lot of failures that you learn from. Right. And, if you take every situation, whether it's good or bad, and you try and get the most out of it or the most from it, you can hone in on how you want to be and who you want to be. And so I take that and I try and just transfer it on. And I think relationships are a huge piece of leadership. And the better you build relationships, mm-hmm. the better response you'll get when you try and lead. And I try and make that rub off on all the students or the captains or the players that we coach, and try and run it all the way down through the youth program. And try and make it be a family atmosphere where everybody can feel valued. Mm-hmm. I know from our core meeting when we decided to coach the girls basketball program, and they said we were allowed to, Rick Mast and I and our coaching staff sat down and what's our core value? And it was to make sure every kid knows that they have value. Mm-hmm. And so at the heart of who we are every day, it's invest into them so that they know that, mm-hmm. as best we can.
So what does that actually look like practically, at a younger age, at an older age? You're with them when they're maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. I forget, third grade is when they're starting. And a child sees their value differently than a high school girl. They all present their own challenges. So what does that actually look like when you're building up the basketball teams?
Well, it is different. So with the youth kids, I have a set of rules for them. First thing, they have to have fun. Like if they have fun, then they'll come back and they'll stick with it. And so we emphasize that every single time we can. They have to try their best. They have to be aggressive. They have to be great teammates. And as they embrace those and they go through the program, you can just see that it's been a point of emphasis. And then I challenge them when they're in their fall seasons or their spring seasons. Okay, how are you leading? Like, how are you being a great teammate? So we start young, and then by the time they get to the junior high and high school level, they've heard it a bunch already. Every day it's just who we are, to show them value, but also have them show others value. And I think it creates a culture that's good.
How do you handle? I have all daughters, so I get to see high school, teenage girls can be a little tricky to handle, and you get to coach them. So, like, how do you handle challenges when it comes to just like dynamics of teenagers managing? You think I have taught you these leadership principles this whole time and you're forgetting it now. I don't know. It seems like from the outside, it seems like you actually don't have a lot of drama. I'm sure you have to deal with things kind of internally as a team. Like, what are your best practices, I guess, with dealing with that?
Well, so I think the best approach is to try and take care of it before it happens. So one of our core values that we talk about all the time, we just say RFD, stands for Run from Drama, because as a group, as a team, as a program, if we run from drama ourselves, you automatically have a built-in advantage, because it's so hard to not have drama in your program. And it doesn't mean we don't. It just helps us when we talk about it a lot, and we talk about being great teammates and supporting each other and celebrating each other's successes. It eliminates some of it, because this is just who we are.
Yeah.
And so that's how we like to be. That's how we like to approach things. And it's not foolproof, and I think the other part of it is when we do make mistakes, we as coaches try and model that we own it. And, that's a life skill that is not easy, but when you go to them after a game and say, you know what, we messed up. Coaches messed up. We were not real good. And, they kind of embrace that situation then too. And
does that follow you into parenting? Does that follow you into teaching? Kind of, I think I model after that way too. Like, I guess if I mess up, I want my kids to know that, because we're not perfect, but we're going to learn from those mistakes. What does that look like in your other roles?
So in the classroom, relationships are so crucial, because you're asking them to want to do
geometry
problems. Like my enthusiasm when they walk in, if it's good, it sets the table. If my demeanor is not good, it sets the table for a rougher day. So I make them, when they walk into my room, when I was doing my master's, I had to make a poster, and it was a positivity poster. So I make them say a positivity promise early in the year. It's not throughout the whole year, but pretty soon they can just say it. I was walking through the gym yesterday, and there were some volleyball girls sitting on the court when we were getting ready, and I heard them talking, and I said, well, you have to make sure that you're positive. And they were in my class a year ago, and they ran right through the whole positivity promise that I had them do, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
That is good.
That's pretty cool, because if they say it, it ends with success as a choice, and hopefully that's something that they look back on and think, you know what, it makes a difference.
Even if they're not being perfect, and remembering to live that out in every moment, and having a, not positive moment, you helping them, it's like memorizing anything. It's going into the core of who they are. They could say it every day and not even 100% believe it, but that principle probably follows them. You know, it might come back when they're an adult or they're in college or they're going through something. They'll remember, Rick taught me a positivity promise, and that actually leads to kind of my next question. You've been teaching for 31 years. How long have you been coaching?
I took 1 year off.
Okay, so 30 out of 31 years. You've been in it long enough now to kind of see some of those full circle moments. So like kids that you taught at a younger age coming back. I know Garrett, our videographer, was sharing a story with you earlier about how he's doing what he's doing now because of something you taught him. So like, what are some full circle moments you've had of seeing, like, I imagine that has to be one of the greatest rewards as a teacher, right? Like you don't always get to see the fruit of that time and investment until like maybe it might take a while for somebody to grow up, graduate, get a job, and then realize the impact that you've had on them. Do you have any that you'd want to share with us?
Yes. My first year as a head basketball coach was for the boys team at Crestview High School out in Richland County.
Mm-hmm.
And our best player, as a sophomore, was not real interested in his geometry class. And he was really not interested in his grades a ton. Mm-hmm. And I kept telling him, when you grow up to be a geometry teacher someday, you're going to be glad that you did your work. And he's like, I'm not being a math teacher. I'll never be a math teacher. Now he's a full-time math teacher and the pastor of his at his church. And I still talk to him. He lives out in Iowa. I still talk to him every once in a while. Not very often, but every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And we reminisce about some of the things that we did way back then. And it was a full circle moment when he came back to me after he graduated from college and said, guess what I'm doing? I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, he maybe started it. And there's a few others that Kendall Lloyd, now married, I don't know her married name, but mm-hmm. when she was in 8th grade, she was a tremendous math student. I like when you become a math teacher someday. Mm-hmm. And she was a math teacher at their career center, I think. And she kind of followed through with it. So there are those moments where you feel like, hey, I had a little bit of an impact, and mm-hmm. it's pretty cool. It's a very rewarding thing that when kids come back and say you had an influence. So that's fun.
It has to be part of the reason why you teach any teacher, because there's so much investment that goes into it that you just want to see that, that investment really means something to them and they're going to take something with it. It's kind of like parenting, though. Like you don't always get the reward in the moment. They're not very grateful. They're complaining about geometry class. I'm a little bit upset that I found out. I'm going to ask Katie. My oldest 2 daughters have gone through your classes. Neither one of them have ever told me about a positivity promise. So I'm definitely going to see if Katie knows that by heart and perhaps remind her in the morning when she's not so positive.
I think she should have to say it to you every
morning. I would
morning.
love that. I'm going to see what she knows.
She'll walk by my classroom tomorrow and scowl at me and say, this is your...
But she's at the career center this year, so that's probably why.
I'm off the hook.
Yeah. Yes, you're off the hook, and I'm going to see what she knows. So you've also got to teach your kids. Your youngest is a senior this year. So how do your kids take the positivity promise? What's that look like at home with them? I'm sure they're just like, Dad.
Yeah. I mean, I think Zach, he's now just graduated from Malone.
Okay.
He's probably forgotten it. He would be the one that wouldn't have cared enough to remember.
Yeah.
I love my kids. They're great kids, but he would be that one. Mm-hmm. Alyssa would be the one that could probably just say it. And Kylie is only 2 years removed, so she probably is in the same boat.
Yeah.
But it's a great dynamic. It was fun teaching them. It was interesting seeing their personalities play out in my classroom. Zach was quiet. The girls were embarrassed when I would tell bad jokes.
Of course.
But it was just me being dad. And
how challenging is it? Because you not only were their teacher, you were also their coaches, and our Kylie will be playing with you her last year here as in basketball. So, what does that look like from a parenting perspective in coaching your kids?
I think you have to kind of what I said with the RFD, mm-hmm. the run from drama. You have to have those discussions about what this is going to look like before you get there. And so sometimes it's not easy, but if you tell them every night before they go to bed, you give them a hug and tell them you love them. And you say, sometimes when we're coaching, we're going to coach through you, because you know that others don't always take coaching as well as what you will, because and so just have a big heart and know that it's all for the right reasons, and they've been wonderful with it. You know, they kept it all in perspective, and I think it comes from the conversations we had before we started, and also at night. It's like, I love watching you play. I love watching you play. Thanks for working so hard. Thanks for being who you are. Thanks for making it fun for me.
I'm thinking about feedback. How do you handle when a player or a student doesn't receive feedback well? Like, do you have any tricks or tips to share on creating a culture or creating an environment where feedback can be received? Because it's just, there's nothing harder than really trying to find that, like, what's that door opening I can find with this person so that they will hear what I'm saying and receive it in the right way.
So I think so we talk about with our coaching staff that the sandwich effect. And I said we're going to do a positive, the critique, and end with a positive. We're going to sandwich the critique with things that they'll respond to. So, hey, your effort was great. Okay, we need you to make sure that you cover down a little bit quicker. But I know you can do it. You've done it in the past. You'll be great. Just reminding you that, so you just sandwich the critique with things that lift them up, and it's usually received much better. Does it always come out that way as coaches? Probably not.
Especially in the moment.
Yeah, especially in the moment. And you know what? Sometimes, especially with your own kids, like you just referenced a little bit ago, but we do our best to do that. And we talk as a coaching staff, and I talk to the coaching staff, like, you got to make sure I'm doing it, like, and I'll make sure you're doing it, like, keep each other in check, because ultimately we want them to have fun. Like, if they're having fun, then everything's better. So in the moment, we'll be competitive, but let's make sure that we celebrate each other's successes. We spend time after every single game that we accomplish the goal of winning. We go back in the locker room and we play music and we jump around and celebrate it. And because
I'd like to see a video of you jumping around.
It probably looks a little crazy, especially as I get older, or if my young son and they're jumping this high and I'm jumping this high. It's like us watching a Cleveland Browns game, and when they score a touchdown and we're like, oh, I shouldn't jump them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's good. And I think it's good for the kids to see the excitement in the coaches.
Celebrating is for sure. Yeah. That positive reinforcement. How do you handle it when you lose then? What does that look like in the locker room?
So that you learn a lot through experience. Because I've evolved a lot in that, because one thing that you realize is it's not always what you think it was. So if you lose and you think it's this or that reason, it might not be any of them. In basketball, sometimes it's you just didn't shoot it good enough that night. You didn't make the shots. You actually played really well. But when you lose, you think of all the little things that go into it. And when it's all said and done, it might just be as simple as that. And so the evolution has been, my talks after losses used to be long, and they're getting shorter, because it doesn't make sense to talk a lot, because you have to watch what happened really. And the analyzing can come back after you see the game, you watch it, you
have more specific things. It's not off of feelings then.
Yeah. There's been many times early in my career where I thought I was right. And that comes back to what I was speaking about, being willing to apologize, being willing to own up to when you're not right. And I think that's a good life skill that you can model and teach. And so after the games, usually it's a little shorter, and say, you know what, it's time to get better. Let's just get better tomorrow. And that's the goal anyway. That's the goal of who we want to be.
I'm curious if you had advice for parents. So like something that I've had a really hard time with is, and I'm sure a lot of parents do, especially depending on their personality styles. Like Peyton play basketball when she was younger. Katie does volleyball. And I had to learn pretty early on with Peyton that I'm not the coach. Like I wanted to pull her off the court and tell her all of the things that after the fact, like I'm just very honest, right? Like, so I don't care if your whole team won, if you didn't do your part, if you're not bringing your best, if I don't see you bringing your best, then but that's not my job.
Yep.
So kind of what's your advice to parents in those situations? What do you see more often? I don't know that actually sometimes it's probably the opposite. Parents are like, my kid is the best at everything. Yep. Why aren't you putting them out there more? So
I think the sandwich effect is a big part. You know, I like watching, or not watching, I like reading Twitter. I follow these motivational coaches / speakers, and because, you know, you might be reading the same thing, but it's worded differently, and it's just a constant reminder of be who they need you to be. And so I just read one not too long ago that said, just tell your kids you love to watch them play. Just keep telling them you love to watch them play. So after the volleyball game the other day, Kylie she said, I didn't play really well. I said, but I still love watching you play. You know, and, you know, they respond to that, you know, and when it's volleyball, really, if I'm being honest, I can't really critique anything anyway, because I'm not real savvy with my volleyball knowledge. But, you know, so I think it's important to just tell them how much you love to watch them play. And, you know, did you try your best? Okay, it's good. And, you know, when you're their coach, then I think there's a little more of a technique / X's and O's, you know, that goes into it. But when I'm watching volleyball, my job's not to tell her to cover the court better or do a skill better. My job's to help her like doing what she's doing and tell her I love watching her play. So be the best support system that you can. And I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
I've seen all of it. I've seen the support. I've seen parents get kicked out of games. That's always an interesting situation to be in. So sometimes you can't help the emotion, but
that's not always easy. So if you would see me sitting in the stands, I'm pretty stoic.
But inside,
I'm not stoic.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty stoic in my response, and because I think it's important to hear them hear the cheers, but also I don't want them to see my negative response. It's harder for me when I coach. You know, it's harder for me. I have this. The girls make fun of me all the time because I have this nervous twitch where I stomp my foot if I'm like, and it's a stump of the foot. And so we do this thing where I think this helps build culture as well, where about 3 or 4 times a year, the girls get to do charades.
Okay.
And they get to do charades of the coaches.
Oh, nice.
Mannerisms of the coaches. And we just have to sit there and take it. And they love
it. It's like a roast. They get to roast the coaches.
It is. It's a roast.
Nice.
But it humbles us, and it's really good. Like they love it. And so
that helps break the tension a little bit. They get to get out. You know, it's fun, but there might be, it might be like a nice little like release for them, kind of a reset.
I think it's really important for coaches that you take time to just have fun. You know, it's hard.
What I'm trying to envision right now is, what if we did a fierce impersonation of the leadership team? I've been trying to imagine what our team would be like. I don't know that they would feel comfortable doing that, like marching around acting like me, but I could see how, yes, it could help bring culture and connection, and like kind of sometimes things don't have to be that serious. So
right, like I don't take myself too serious. So there was a time when Lainey, maybe her sophomore year, she got basically run over by a girl from the other team, and the next day we did we did our acting, and one of them was her laying on the floor like she was dead, and we taped off her body, and and everybody laughed. It was funny. It was entertaining. I mean, it was good. And you'll have to ask her about it because she'll remember.
We'll have to tell some stories.
Yeah, and so like if we take time just to do that, do some team building. My captains, usually I have a couple captains that part of their role is to be in charge of team building activities. Have them lead, have them put them in leadership roles. And plus, it's fun for me just to see what they come up with.
How do you choose the captains on your team?
Okay, so I have a process that they have to go through.
Okay.
Which, again, I read this from some coach that's done it before on Twitter, and I really liked it. And I think it's stuck, and it will stick until I'm done. So in the spring, so we finish our season in March. They take a month off, and then I tell them anybody who wants to apply to be a captain has to give me their application by April 4th. So if they don't apply, then they're not eligible. Like, I take it serious. So they applied, and then every Monday on the rest of the school year, we meet the first half of lunch, and they have to go through leadership training. Sometimes we're just talking about our team. Sometimes we're talking about something I read on Twitter about team culture, team building. We will do things like, how would you handle this situation? Or how would you handle this tough situation? So you reenact it, and then it puts them in that situation before they have to actually be in that situation for real. And I think it's good. And they have to, in the summer, we do with the high school kids, we have our skill building papers that we do, and we make it a competition, and they're in charge of their team and reaching out and getting them to submit how much they've done, and like they're in charge of their team. And so it's a leadership thing. Like they have to do that. I try and think of as many situations where they have to lead and have a voice, and it's awkward for them. It's a process, but it's really good for them.
So at the end of all of that, like, what if you have 10 girls apply to be captain?
Then the coaches have to sit down and look at the body of work, and we make a decision.
How many do you allow per season?
I don't have a number.
Okay.
It's a year by year.
Okay.
So we've had 2, we've had 5, we've had 4, we've had 3. And I'm pretty strict. If they don't have their application in by the deadline, the date, they're out. And so it's a leadership thing. Like, be on time. This is the expectation. And I've had one that applied as a junior, did not have it in on time, and I said, I'm sorry, but you're out. Next year was the first one to turn it in. And I think that's awesome.
I mean, as an employer, I love that you do that with them, because you're really setting them up for success. That is a long-term skill. Leadership skills are something that you need no matter what kind of role you're going to be in, whether you're going straight to work after high school or college, or, any time that you're in. But I love that you're setting them up for that. As many tools as possible before they can make it to the workforce is probably vital. Well, I know it is, because I experienced that. Have you gotten any feedback from that, like on an impact level, like with them saying, I'm so glad you taught me this. I went to work. Like, I was at application after basketball? Maybe not, because you don't always get that feedback, but
we don't always get the feedback. Plus, this is year 3 or 4
of the application
process. So it wasn't always that way. But as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I want to do that. And I've had other coaches ask me about how we pick captains. We had a group of coaches led by one of the guys that coached with me, Doug Hampshire, coached with me with the boys program a long time ago. And we went down whitewater rafting this summer, 8 head coaches. And then, and it was fun. And it was really good. And then afterwards we came back and we did a coaches clinic. And my part of the coaches clinic was how I pick captains. So it was really good because I got to hear what other coaches do, and they got to hear my whole process. And I go, I'm not staking claim for this. I stole this from somebody else but I thought it was really cool. And so it's not always easy. If you feel like you have a group of 5 applicants and only 3 are who you want, that's hard. That's really hard. But the better you communicate, the more constant you are with your communication. Sometimes hard things are where you learn the most from. So,
that's consistently true. We always say here, clarity is kindness. And so if somebody is not really cut out, being that clear can help really show them an opportunity in a way that maybe they weren't aware. Like, oh, I'm really not strong on this skill. I need to work on that. And as the person giving the feedback, it's not always the easiest, like you said. Like, even if, especially because I feel like you're you're a I see potential person.
Yep.
Like, you always see the potential in somebody else. So it's really hard because you don't want to downplay that. You always want them to want to go for it. But sometimes they're just not quite where you need them to be yet in that.
That's, I think communication is the biggest thing in showing great leadership. Not everybody's vocal. And so leadership through action is very powerful too. But if you have action and through your words, then it can be powerful to anybody. And so that's what we try. And like I said, we fail and we own up to it, and we try and grow and each day try and get a little better, a little more consistent. But that's kind of a fun challenge for me too. Like, I've embraced it so much more in the last 5 years that I think it's a fun part of my day. How can I flip somebody else's day? Somebody that looks like they need it, how do I flip their day? And it doesn't always work, but it's like a challenge to me. So,
what would be one piece of advice you'd give to someone like starting out, a student starting out, or, like just kind of a coach starting out maybe? Like, what's some advice that you'd have to pass on?
I think you need to build relationships. Depending on the situation, keep them professional. Coach to player, make sure they know that you care, but make sure that they know that you're the coach. And so take time out of your time to talk about more than basketball, more about the sport that you're taking. At the beginning of practice, the girls will laugh because I go around to them before practice and I fist bump them and I say, "Thanks for coming to practice today. Glad you're here." And they see me walking around the gym and they're like, "Here he comes."
They're like, I have to be here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but it's like, you're trying to ingrain that I appreciate you. You're valued, and so they smile. They know it's coming. They fist bump me. We have this thing we call team touch. Steve Nash was NBA and MVP point guard a long time ago. And it was from him that I learned this. He, in one game, I forget the exact number, I think it was 232 times, he was high-fiving / fist bumping / patting on the back, as the best player on that team. He was positively affirming his teammates, and it was team touch. And so I saw that and I'm like, we could do that, so it's just a fist bump. It's a high five. It's a, whatever. I want you to lift your teammates up and make them better through your words, through your actions, through your team touch. And so we do that. And I think going back to what you said with how do you, a first-year teacher, a first-year coach, relationships are important. And you got to be a little careful in the classroom with team touch because it's a different dynamic. But on the court, a fist bump can show, I appreciate your effort. So relationships. And then you can get people to do lots of things when they respect how you treat them.
Well, they know that you care about them.
Yeah.
Then they're willing to go a little bit further.
Very, very much so.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. Any final words of advice for how to survive? Because like Rick really has a lot going on for what you guys don't know. So teacher, basketball coach. I mean, you're always doing something like with your kids in sports, you in sports. Like, are you even ever at home? Like, we're at home to sleep and that's it at this point, right?
I mean, there's sometimes, be highly organized. The more organized you are.
I would say also a good support system, I'm guessing.
I mean, my wife is awesome.
And your mom is at all of the games. Like, you have a good support system all around. So
yeah, when we talked about the athletic director position, I mean, Lois and I had a great talk, and we I said there's going to be some nights where you might have to come be my assistant. But how about date night at the soccer game, date night at the baseball game, and then we'll find our other date nights on other nights. But it's if the support system's not there, then it doesn't work. So I try and I don't procrastinate ever. Try and be ahead of the game always, and be as organized as possible. And it's getting easier. I mean, the athletic director, there's a lot of things that go into it that people don't know. Like, because I didn't know. I've been coaching for 30 years, and I'm like, I didn't know I had to do all this. But it's getting easier. It's just you have to invest your time early, and it's better.
Well, with coaching and with teaching, you've developed systems now that you can just repeat. And now you have to do that for the athletic director role as well. But that is where, after doing it for 30 years, you kind of have it, I'm not saying totally figure it out, but you have some history there. So that makes it a little bit easier.
Be willing to be a lifelong learner.
Yes.
The athletic director position, I've learned some things that I wish I knew 10 years ago, just on like Google email, how to do a template. Like, I didn't know, but I was shown, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Why didn't somebody else teach you that a long time
ago? I know that before. This is saving me a lot of time.
Yes.
So you become more efficient as you are a lifelong learner, and it's been very beneficial to me in 2 months.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Well, and especially with tools evolving and AI, who knows what AI will do. Yep. So it's kind of scary, actually, when you think about teaching. So, okay. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Rick. I really appreciate your insight into what your world looks like and what leadership looks like for you. So normally with a business, I would say, where should we check you out at? But really, they should just come support the Waynedale basketball team, right?
Let's come out and cheer the girls on. We're looking forward to it.
We're going to state this year, right?
Well,
every year.
I mean, that's the ultimate goal for us, but we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Our job is to get better each day and have fun doing it and let it fall where it may.
Well, if you want to come see a great team that's run by Rick, work together efficiently, then come watch Waynedale this year. So
we'd love to have you there.
Thank you for tuning in to Torch Talk. If today's story sparks something for you, share it with a colleague, community leader, or future change maker. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep your fire burning.